Carey, beach lifeguard.
Cool. So when and what happened?
Friday, March 11th, 2011, there was a tsunami advisory issued for California coast, and we had to notify the public. 4:30 in the morning on the 11th, I got a text, and went and got on the internet, looked at the National Weather Service website and the Alaska Tsunami Warning Center website just to see what was going on, what the details were. We were under a tsunami advisory. From Point Conception south was tsunami advisory, which is the lowest level of warning or lowest level of notification for a tsunami. We did, initial thoughts were we're going to need a couple extra lifeguards, at least one, to notify the public, make sure that we had lifeguards on the whole beach all day so that we could notify the public coming to the beach in any area of the beach. And so I did get some people in here early, had one extra lifeguard come in, and canceled some training that day so that we could just be here at the beach all day and making the public aware of what was going on. Well, we had surges for most of the day. Throughout the day when I was here from about 7 in the morning till about 5 o'clock in the evening, and I guess sunset around 6 p.m. so I left about an hour before sunset. But we noticed starting at about 9:30 in the morning that it was like the tide was just going out and then coming back in, within the limits of normal tidal ranges that we see at this beach. So the water would recede out to what we would expect to see at a normal low tide, around maybe a 1 foot low tide, and then approximately 20 minutes later it was coming back up and surging up to the level of a high tide, maybe a 6 foot high tide. And we saw that throughout the day, sort of every 20 minutes or so there would be a shift, and that's really unusual. Normally it's 6 hours between a high and a low. We were seeing about 20 minutes on Friday the 11th. So okay, so we set out cones. We would set a cone at the water's edge, and we pulled a vehicle up to that cone, and at one point I went out to the lowest point that the water had receded to, the water's edge, and used a laser rangefinder to shoot the front of the vehicle and measure that distance. And so the front of the vehicle was approximately the high water mark, the highest point the water had come up to. And then a few minutes later, like 15 or 20 minutes later, the water receded. I went out to the water's edge and measured that distance with a rangefinder at about 80 yards. So there was that method. We also planted a flag at the water's edge at one point, and then watched the water surge past it and then recede out beyond it. We used cones also to mark the water's edge, and then you could observe, just the water receding. Also, when the water was surging, when the tsunami surge was coming in, the surf would get bigger, and it seemed like more consistent too. So it would go from maybe a 1 foot surf to 3 foot surf, and the sets would be more consistent also during that surge. Of course, a lot of questions. People were calling the fire department, calling the tower. A lot of people came to the beach to see the surge. Just a lot of curiosity and some concern. I think more curiosity than concern was what I encountered. People wanted to see it, come down to the beach to see it, and taking pictures of, groups and friends taking pictures of each other standing in front of the water on Tsunami Day like it was a tourist attraction. So kind of interesting. A lot of people just ignored the advisory. Some people, when they heard us make the announcement, would actually leave the beach, but a lot of people would stay and just ignore the advisory. So we were advising people to stay off of the sand, stay out of the water, and stay off of the rocks. And a lot of people could care less, it seemed like. Yeah, a little over a year ago we had another tsunami advisory, and we did see a tsunami surge here that day, and I think there may have just been a few surges, maybe just one really noticeable surge was documented. The lifeguards here, I wasn't working that day, the lifeguards here that day saw the water surge up. The shipwreck was exposed at the time. It was low tide when the tsunami came, and it covered the shipwreck, and then they saw it go back out again. So our facilities didn't get flooded. That was good. I was concerned a little bit about that. I wasn't concerned so much about damage to the coastal, structures or the city. The warning said 2 to 3 foot surge. I was concerned about water getting into the facilities or people getting swept off the rocks. We didn't have either one, so that was good. Well, it seems like the people that predict these things, the Alaska Tsunami Warning Center, the National Weather Service, are pretty accurate with their predictions. I mean, they can tell pretty well if it's coming from across the ocean. Obviously we have a lot more time to prepare, but they can tell approximately how much of a surge we're going to see in the approximate time. That's really helpful. That gives me more confidence, I guess, in the tsunami warning system. But it's going to be another story if we have something that's really close and we don't have time to prepare. I guess my main thing is just it's good to be prepared as much as possible, and I am interested in seeing what type of a system we could develop to document it better as far as the water rise and fall. That would be interesting to see how much that really affected us. I wish that people would take the warning a little bit more seriously. The ocean is unpredictable. Tsunamis are somewhat predictable, but it's still, I don't think there's enough science, enough data for the experts to really pinpoint exactly what we're going to see. So I would like to see people being a little bit more concerned and heeding our warnings, I guess, as far as leaving the beach and staying off the sand, staying off the rocks. Education is important. I'd like to see more people be more educated, more aware of what's going on. I think that would make it safer for people and make our job a little bit easier. We could focus on, instead of arguing with people, we can focus on helping people maybe that need more help